the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Hello, a very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. My name is Edmond Chizito, your host. On Spectrum tonight, how can the East African community overcome the current challenge of human capital development as it embarks on self-sustainability? The East African community is one of the regions of the world endowed with abundant natural resources that unfortunately remain unutilized, leaving many people poor and helpless. One of the key factors holding the region back is a lack of adequate and skilled manpower that is critical to changing ideas into realities. Development experts have indicated that this requires to take into account the challenge of human resource development. If the region is to attain sustainable development, greater independence, and cross-border labor efficiency, they argue that in order to build a self-sustainable community, it will require investing in ventures that would build the required capacity, including universities, research facilities, and leadership institutions, among others. That calls for a look at the current education system, investing trillions in education and research, and maybe going back to the original idea of each country hosting a school of excellence to churn out capable cadres specializing in the current challenges and key regional priorities. Currently, all members depend on foreign expatriates in areas that lack local expertise, and this is increasing the burden of dependency and only perpetuates the problem. But also important to note is the need for the region to begin treating its trained personnel with dignity as far as remuneration and welfare is concerned. As we speak today, many highly experienced East Africans are working in many Western capitals in the so-called diaspora, where they have been recognized for making tremendous contributions to the development and well-being of those societies. Now, as part of the new efforts of rekindling the past glory in enhancing human capital development, alumni of the coveted Dar es Salaam University will assemble in Kampala on the 17th of this month, July, to discuss 16th of this month, to discuss a number of issues as far as human capital development is concerned, and also carry out a fundraising for the university, which groomed and continues to groom many leaders in this country today. So, as part of our efforts to ensure a sustainable East African community, on Spectrum tonight we will look at the challenges at hand, asking our guests to explain the efforts that are underway to address the human capital development challenge in East Africa. And our guest tonight is Honorable Eriya Kategaya, First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Affairs. You're most welcome, Honorable Kategaya.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Well, you sit on one of the key policy-making organs of the community, that is the Council of Ministers, and you often attend heads of state summits and sittings of the Legislative Assembly. We are told that one of the key factors affecting the region is acute shortage of human capital across the region. How big is this challenge, and how does it affect the objective of integration?
Well, it's very big. It's very big. The problem that we have is that our education system or systems are not focused on what are the vital fields in which people should train. I think the emphasis should be on sciences, basic sciences, applied sciences, and many sciences, so that we can have science in our agriculture, production, we can have science in our medical services, how to protect our people, we can have, now I think there's a new word, add value, but I think it is manufacturing. We must have industrialization in the region. Whatever agriculture produce we are making, it should be not sold in raw form, but actually in a manufactured or value-added form. That's when we can get value for our money. So the problem is very, very, very wide in the region.
And do you see any steps being taken to deal with this challenge?
Well, we have the Ministry of Education in the region. First of all, harmonize the syllabus and see that the people that are produced in all these institutions of learning in the region are marketable in the region without being coordinated. And of course, we are also encouraging them to focus on these fields which create human capital that transform the economy. The potential we have, we could have agriculture, we could have infrastructure, minerals, but we don't have human capital to exploit. And as we are saying in the introduction, it's a very, very key factor in development. The aim of integration in Africa is to make sure that our economy is supported. They produce goods and services for our people. They increase the standard of living of our people. And that we operate on a large scale. This is where the one point integration. Because if you integrate two poor people, or three poor people, we don't have community.
Right.
But the integration will not have any meaning.
Okay, so you mentioned the issue of harmonizing the syllabi, but even after you harmonize them, what do you think would be needed to add value to them? Apart from
look at the structure of the syllabi. What do you teach? For example, even in Uganda, as you know very well, personally, I'm not satisfied that we are focusing our manpower training to those areas which actually will create manpower or human capital to transform our economies. I've seen some people, students study tourism,
yes,
or development, something like that, or they study also something at the university. At the end of the day, they are not marketable. At the end of the day, they are not very useful in terms of transforming the economy. Because our economies problem is that they're not expanding fast enough to absorb the increasing population, to absorb these graduates which we are churning out every year. And the problem is across the region. In Tanzania, the same thing. In Kenya, the same thing. In Uganda, the same thing. So the challenge is to say, where do we focus? Where do we focus our training? And I said, basic science is definitely a must. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, applied science. This is how we will help to transform the economy.
And do you think the individual governments in East Africa are doing the right thing? Are they giving enough money to education?
Money, yes, you can give money, but not train the right people, the right capable people you want. I think for me it is, where do we put emphasis? Even for Uganda, take Uganda. What is the science content of our education from primary, secondary to university? Right? The other time I was talking to Makeri, they have very few mathematicians who go, graduates who are doing mathematics. At the university, at the secondary level, with the, apart from senior schools like Budo, Yakasura, Muiri, Military School, the rest have no library to stock of, science laboratory to stock of, absolutely nothing. So, I think even if the money is there, I think the question is, have we woken up to say yes? What do these economies need in terms of human capital? I don't think we have come to that.
Let's look at the background to this. We have an education system that was bequeathed to us by the colonialists. With all the best intentions, is this still relevant, or do we still have a foot in the past? Or do we need to have a radical rethink?
You see, each system trains the people they want to train. What manpower you need. The colonialists were not here to train us to produce human capital for transforming the economy. Our economies were part of the colonial structure. We had to, for us, our assignment to produce coffee, take it in a raw form, produce cotton, take it in a raw form. Others were just getting minerals out of the ground and take it in a raw form. Or if you look at South Africa, for example, the blacks were not taught mathematics, not taught geography. They couldn't do medicine. They couldn't do any science. They were taught a few things, just how to write and read. So, in my view, definitely we should have radically changed the economy of education. But it was not meant to address the problem we're talking about, namely of transforming the economy.
So is that something that the East African community is going to work on?
I think we are going to face it. But one of the things that is coming out in our integration is going to be competition. And therefore competition, therefore efficiency. And to be efficient, we must have proper human capital. Even in Uganda, I'm sure if we are going to benefit from this market that we are creating, we must have efficient, effective, and relevant manpower. Not, for example, Kayunga produces a lot of pineapples. This time also, I wanted railroad. When you are driving through railroad town, you smell a pineapple. because they are just on the road, being sold raw. And it's actually, so I'm told the Kenyan traders come and pick up all our pineapples in a raw form, take them to Kenya, and transform them into cereal products. We are losing value of those crops. We are also giving jobs to Kenyans. If we are squeezing those pineapples and selling Kenyan to juice, we would find that we would have jobs here, and therefore even the price of our products would be higher. Same problem with when people are complaining about chicken feed and animal feed.
Yes.
The problem we are selling just
unprocessed maize.
Unprocessed maize.
Grain, yes.
Yeah, grain. And then that's where you can, when you process it, that's when you get leftovers that turned into animal feed. But at the moment, everything is sold into Kenya, for Kenya, Tanzania, Chigari, Rwanda, Bujumbura, Eastern Congo, Southern Sudan.
Right.
And therefore, we can buy.
Right. Somebody mentioned that the people who buy the maize take it to Tanzania. They process it into maize flour for human consumption, and then they bring back the maize bran and sell it at the same price that they bought the maize grain.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio, and tonight, how can the East African community overcome the current challenge of human capital development as it embarks on self-sustainability? Our guest tonight is Honorable Eriya Kategaya, First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Affairs. You'll be able to call in later and contribute to this discussion by way of questions or general comment. Honorable Kategaya, let's look at the harmonized syllabus as we move towards one union. What are some of the key pointers? So we'll have a flat syllabus, all the countries, so there's no talk anymore of comparative advantage. What shape will it take?
No, because our thinking is that if you are creating this market, one of the things in this market is free movement of labor. And labor means, in my view, skilled labor. Graduates, or even middle cadres, people who can sell their labor in the region. And that means they should not be inconvenienced once if you are trained in Uganda and you have the job in Kenya. You should go there and get what has been inconvenienced, whether you are qualified according to Kenya standards or not. In other words, we would have, first of all, the training will be the same, qualification will be the same, statistics will be recognized in the same way. So that would what it means by common market, because free movement of labor is one of the key factors in the common market, as we are talking of free movement of services, free movement of capital. But human capital, to emphasize what we are discussing, we want to make sure that we think of it. Because now, you may be qualified, the nursing plan. If you come to Akin Mulago, Mulago will say no. According to our syllabus and everything, we are not qualified. And therefore have to undergo another course. But if there is harmonization, for example, in medical training of the medical personnel, it means wherever you are qualified, you can be able in any part of the region.
Right. So let's talk about, we were talking about something like that we used to have like in the past. They used to have the Cambridge certificates, which are applicable to the entire region. So we're not really reinventing the wheel.
That's true. That's true.
Let's talk about remuneration. Will the teachers be paid? Where will you, for instance, have a minimum wage for teachers and lecturers at that stage?
It does. I tell you, there will be competition. For instance, at the moment, there are countries which are attractive. Some of us create money for because their terms of service are much better in one of the developing states. And you don't want that type of thing to happen. Which means that we have to sit down and say, yes, our doctors in the region, or nurses, or engineers, or architects, can be remunerated equally, so that they don't have to shift from one where the poor remuneration to the one which is higher remuneration.
Right.
Yeah. And but at the moment we have not really come to that, because I know that some of our doctors have been running
to Rwanda. Let's talk about technical schools. Do you have enough, or do we have to work on that? How big is the gap?
Very big, very big. But I think Kenya is the one which has some what we call technicians, plumbers, other people doing the actual work in terms of building. Kenya is slightly bigger than ourselves. And as you know, our technical schools were almost gone.
Yes.
Chamber was a technical university, and it became just like any other university. I don't know why we didn't think about producing people there in Chamber. So the gap is big. I'm told now, for example, in construction industry here in Uganda, most of these middle class guys are good for the Kenya. But at the moment, the government, I think we are now waking up. We are putting to the side these technical institutes,
right?
Technical colleges. I think the idea was supposed to have one by district. And some of us are now waking up about that.
So basically, some of this is going to be centrally planned. Like in the past, we had the East African school, flying school in Soroti, and other schools. So it could be centralized in that way.
Yeah,
have signature colleges across the region.
Yeah, I've heard you mentioning schools of excellence.
Yes.
The idea is already in East Africa. For example, in Uganda, we are given a flying school in Soroti. That it should be a place of excellence for training pilots and plane engineers, airplane engineers. And we are going to do that. It's already running, and everybody, I think, even last meeting in the summit in Dar es Salaam, people were saying, what happened to Spirit Flying School? And we send our pilots. I'm told there's a shortage of pilots in this country. in the region, right. And engineers. Because all the generation of East African Airways are retiring.
True.
But we have not been training more. And I'm told if you send a pilot to someone to train on the project in South Africa, it's almost twice what it will cost in South Africa.
The curriculum, the education.
Yeah, the education and the expense. So I think we're going to identify a few schools of excellence, places of excellence in each region.
And build on those. So we're talking about, in Tanzania, of course, they used to have the Munduli school, which trained people, the soldiers, basically.
It is still, up to now.
Still, we're talking about training. We also have schools like Chimaka in Uganda. Now Uganda has this university for the military. Are these being centrally planned, or shall we at one stage find ourselves in the place?
Because the Munduli starts now starts cadet, school. Middle, I think they come to Chimaka. The two fellows go to Kenya in Karen.
In Karen. That's a new institute.
Yeah, the military. Yeah. For them, they took a name. They're working with them.
All right, let's talk about the numbers, quality versus. Now, one challenge that has been highlighted is the quality of our graduates and the level of research from some of the new universities. We have this expansion. At one stage, you had only one university. Now